Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Matt Epstein. I'm the fire chief here at Dry Creek Rancheria Fire Department, and we're honored to host this memorial on 9/11. I want to thank my partners from the state of Israel and the Israeli Consulate for helping us to host this, our friends from the Jewish National Fund, and we have several people in the audience today that are current, former law enforcement, firefighters. I want to mention Gabrielle Breton from the Israeli Police Department. We've got retired members. Bruce Goldberg, retired out of the DEA. We've got Jerome Colbert, retired from Berkeley PD. We've got Nick Nicias, active Mill Valley Police Department. And we've got many members of the Dry Creek Rancheria Fire Department. We've got members of the Israeli Fire Department. I call that out because 9/11, as much of it as it's a memorial for the lives lost 19 years ago in New York and Washington, it's also a moment for us to take some time and think about those who every day go to work in service of others. 9/11 was a traumatic event in this country. And as I was a police officer at the time, but I gotta say that 9/11 2002, 1 year later, for me, was almost as an impactful event in my career. In 2002, at 4:30 in the morning, I came out of the subway tunnel at Church and Basie in Manhattan. I was there for the 1 year memorial for 9/11. As I came up onto the sidewalk, the streets were lined at 4 o'clock in the morning with New Yorkers holding signs thanking public safety. And I thought they were there for the memorial. But these 200 or so New Yorkers were there for us, for the police officers and the firefighters that had come from all over the world to pay tribute to the city of New York. While I was going down the street, there was a woman that had a stand, little table, and she was selling memorial bracelets like this one that I'm wearing. And when I came up in uniform and asked how much, she just handed me one. And the name on that bracelet was Christopher Santora, somebody had never known. Christopher was a firefighter with FDNY. Before he joined the fire department, he was a school teacher. His mother was a school teacher. His father was a battalion chief with the FDNY. And he had been a firefighter for a matter of weeks when 9/11 happened. He was just getting off work when the first plane hit. And although he was off duty, he jumped on that engine with his brothers and went down to ground zero. And unfortunately, Christopher Santora died outside of Tower 7, trying to rescue people, try to save people. When I first got the bracelet, I was a police officer. I asked her if she had any cops instead of firemen. But I took what she gave me and I wore it. And I learned about who Christopher Santora was, which for you younger people, 2002, the internet wasn't exactly what it is today. And I held that story and I wore that bracelet. And then when I became a firefighter, I continued to wear it. And now and again, people would ask me about it and I would tell them the story. And then in 2000, when I promoted to fire captain, I had a firefighter working underneath me that asked me about my bracelet. And they seemed very interested and engaged in who Christopher Santora was. So I told the story, and then this person came back to me with follow-up questions and knew some things that I didn't even know. So I gave them the bracelet because I felt that they'd shown enough interest. They were involved now. And then I bought about a dozen of them, and over the years, I've been giving them out to people who are interested, who want to know. And so I know in this station, there's several people that have one, and we've kind of adopted Christopher as one of our own. And I tell that story because when you think about 9/11 and the impacts, and 343 firefighters, 60 police officers, thousands of people who went to work that day didn't come home, it's almost unimaginable. It's almost impossible to grasp what that means. But I just told you the story of one guy who had just weeks on the job. and he paid the ultimate sacrifice. And we're standing here 19 years later, 3,000 miles away, talking about him. And that is what I think 9/11 is about, is remembering people, the individuals. You know, people all the time, especially now with the fires, people call us heroes. My favorite quote about firemen is that the only courageous thing a firefighter ever does is sign up for the job. Everything else comes with it. And I tend to believe that. So when people ask, how do you do it? How do you run into buildings? How do you fight wildfires? I typically respond with the question, if not me, who? And so I'll conclude my words today with just keeping that thought in your head. If not me, who? And that's the basis of why we do what we do. So I thank you guys for being here today. I appreciate taking the time in the smoke to sit out here and to think about Christopher Santora, the 342 other firefighters that died that day, the men and women from the from the NYPD and the Port Authority, and all the regular civilians that just went to work that day to take care of their family and didn't make it home. So I'm gonna call up my friend Oren from the Jewish National Fund. He's gonna say a few words. I do want to just say that as we go through the day-to-day, it's really important that we keep COVID in mind. So if you all just please keep your masks on and try to social distance throughout the day, I appreciate it. And Oren.
Good afternoon and Laila Tov to our friends from Israel that are watching. My name is Oren Chefetz, and I'm the Israeli emissary for Jewish National Fund in Northern California. I arrived in the Bay Area with my family 9 months ago after serving in the Israeli Air Force for 24 years. I am honored to stand here today with Mr. Matan Zamir, the Israeli Consul Deputy for the Pacific Northwest region, along with friends from the Israeli Fire and Rescue and the Jewish National Fund. We are paying tribute to those heroic first responders who made the ultimate sacrifice on September 11, 2001. And to the brave women and men who are on the front lines today battling the many devastating fires afflicting our local communities. On this day, 19 years ago, tragedy struck the US and thousands of innocent lives were lost. I believe all of us remember exactly where we were when we heard the tragic news of the terrorist attack on America. My friends and I were about to go on a training mission when we saw the horrific images unfolding at the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and in Western Pennsylvania. It was obvious that the world would be forever changed after the fateful day. The attacks against the World Trade Center claimed the lives of 343 New York City firefighters and more than 2,400 civilians. Included in that total were 372 foreign nationals. The thousands of victims hailed from every continent on the planet, from nearly every religion tradition, and from across the generation. I'm honored today to present this special plaque to the Dry Creek Rancheria Fire Department, bearing an image of the Jewish National Fund 9/11 Living Memorial in Jerusalem, and I'd like to read what is written on the plaque. The JNF-KKL 9/11 Memorial is in the foothills of Jerusalem, expresses the deep connection and shared values between the people of Israel and the United States. It is the only memorial outside of the United States that honors each victim. The memorial is an American flag waving and transforming into a flame. A piece of melted metal from the ruins of the Twin Towers forms the base of the monument. This memorial serves as a site of an official ceremony held with the United States every year as Israel honors the memory of the heroes who fell and recognize the heroes who walk among us. Dry Creek Rancheria Fire Department, for your courage and sacrifice, we thank you. I would like to invite Chief Epstein and Matan Zamir to hand the plaque to the firefighters. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. I have the unique privilege of having a great working relationship and friendship with Deputy Consul General, my friends at Oren here from the JNF. I've been lucky that twice now I've been able to deploy to Israel as a firefighter to work on incidents with my brothers, the Israeli firefighters. And it's definitely an honor that 10 of them came out to help us when we needed it. And so I, as a firefighter and as a Jew, I am so grateful for this relationship and to have you guys here today and that show our friends in the audience, our friends watching, and really the world, the strong partnership that Israel and America has, that the Israeli Fire Service has with the American Fire Service, and just as people here in the Bay Area as Jews, that we're able to come together and work together and accomplish so much. So thank you guys, and thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Jewish National Fund's core mission is to improve the lives of all Israel citizens, including Jewish, Arabs, Druze, and Bedouin. We are not involved in politics. JNF inspires and provides our community with the opportunity to help build a brighter future for the land of Israel and its people. Jewish National Fund USA has emerged over the past 119 years as an environmental leader in Israel, planting over 260 million trees in Israel. To protect the trees and land, JNF is committed to helping Israel combat fires, and with the help of our generous donors, we have built urgently needed fire station and purchased fire trucks, fire wagons, as well as much needed firefighting equipment. We hope that the 9/11 Living Memorial and this plaque will remind us how important it is to come together to remember, reflect, and heal. More than anything, we must reaffirm our commitment to tolerance, the unity of mankind, and democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Owen, very much. I want to start by thanking Chief Matt Epstein and his team of, he said not to say heroes, but definitely team of heroes that are here with us today, for not only hosting us here at the station, and not only for the amazing work that you do all year long, especially these days with these fires that's all around us, but also for what you've mentioned, Chief, for reaching your hand or going, leaving everything, your family and your work, and traveling halfway across the world to Israel and helping the Israeli firefighters. Some of them are here with us today to fight fire. The delegation that is here to help, has been helping. You're going to hear from the Israeli firefighters. But it's important also to mention that the United States sent American fighters to Israel in 2010, in 2016, and in other incidences in the past to help Israel when Israel was on fire. I want to say thank you to our friends from the Jewish National Fund, Oren, Dick Berman, the team that is here, for the amazing work that you're doing here, but then also in Israel. You've mentioned building fire stations, buying fire trucks to the Israeli firefighters, supporting them in a lot of ways through the help of your donors, your friends, And that's only the tip of the iceberg in terms of the work that you're doing in Israel. And the monument on the foothills of my hometown, Jerusalem, is a great symbol of that, commemorating 9/11. I want to say also thank you to the friends at Congregation Shomrei Torah here in Sonoma for partnering with us on this event, Rabbi Stephanie Kramer that you'll hear from soon. And last but definitely not least, the team that came from Israel. We're going to hear from Lieutenant Idan Brown. These guys, and he'll tell you that not only that they came here in 72 hours notice. So by the time we told them, we need your help, Cal Fire, the team here, they need people to help them fighting the fires. It took them 72 hours from Wednesday to Saturday night to clear visas, clear all the packing, with the help of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But a lot of them, they did themselves, and being on a plane, flying 16 hours, landing without jet lag, and just starting to fight fires immediately, which is incredible. They're here for 2 weeks, and they'll tell you a little bit more about their experiences. When 9/11 happened, I was almost 20. I was a soldier in the IDF, and I was posted in a command and control and command center for back then it was the Home Front Command. And when it happened, so the first few minutes, we wanted to make sure that somebody's not tricking us and it's not fake. After a couple of minutes, when you realize that this is actually happening, we were sure in a matter of days, it took us days to evaluate and understand that it's not an attack on democracy and the free world in general. It's an attack on the United States. And there's a story that I don't know if you're familiar, but in the World Trade Station, in Trade Center in New York, there were flags of all nationalities around the world. One of them was the Israeli flag. And the Israeli flag, during the rescue, the relief, and the digging over there, they found the Israeli flag. It was torn, but it was kept almost whole, almost full. And it was given by the mayor back then, Mike Bloomberg, to the Consul General of Israel to New York, and it's hanged. The big flag, it's hanged over there at the office of the Consul General in New York. There's another symbol. Today is has to do with the symbolism. Is another symbol to the strong bond, the strong friendship that we have between the two countries. And if we have to take one more thing from this event, is how much the relationship between our two countries is strong, multi-layered, based on values and based on friendship. So I want to say thank you, and I want to introduce Lieutenant Idan Brown from the delegation of the firefighters. He is the commander of the Tirat HaKarmel, the chief fire officer at Tirat HaKarmel, that's right by Haifa in Israel, to say a few words. Thank you.
So I will start as general and update you a few things first of all, about what we are doing here and what's the situation right now, and then I will connect it to the 9/11 issues. So as said before, we would notice 72 hours before our flight that we need to go join our brothers in the fight of the fires in California. We heard the situation is getting worse because of the weather and the conditions. By the way, California is pretty much the same vegetation as what we have. So they were actually took me out of flashover container training and tell me, pack your stuff. In 72 hours, you are going to land in the United States. I thought at first that this is a joke. So, and then I find myself 72 hours later landing in San Francisco. So we joined Cal Fire Forces, and we found ourselves with hand crews all over Red Bluff base camp, and from there to Tehima and Glen zones. Huge fires, really intensive. The heat and the conditions over the mountain were extreme. I mean, and we kind of adopted really fast to tactics and methods of hand tools that usually we are not familiar with it because we are working a little different. But thinking about the connection, it's connection between Israel and the U.S. because we see the U.S. as our closest ally all over the world, and it's not just that. it's a connection between firefighters because, and I will connect it to the 9/11. Firefighters, their brotherhood will connect them all over the world. So for example, if we will need to help our brothers in the US, it doesn't matter the situation, we will land there and help. And I think that firefighters from all over the world have got a culture of doing things that nobody will understand it. I mean, no one all over the world can understand the brotherhood of firefighters. It doesn't matter if it's in Israel, US, New Zealand, Canada, or all other countries, because there is certain, it's a different culture, it's a different mindset that guys that running to the fire and helping people, like in the 9/11, the 343 people, firefighters, climbed the World Trade Center and tried to save citizens from this horrible situation. It's exactly the symbol of what we are trying to do here. So no matter when, no matter where, firefighters will stand by each other all over the world to help civilians and casualties, no matter where or when. And unfortunately, we are going to see in the next future much more wildland disasters and fires because our climate will change, and this cooperation will need to be a little bit even tighter, and we need to be close to each other. And yeah, we will need to save people all over the world in many, many countries in the future, and we will help, the countries will help each other to save people around the globe. So that's basically what we are trying to show here, and we are counting on this brotherhood from you, and we will show, we'll be next to you whenever and whatever you need. Thank you all.
So to end our ceremony today, we're very fortunate to have Rabbi Stephanie Kramer from Shomrei Torah virtually to send us out. Thank you, Rabbi, for being here. I appreciate it. And, we'll go from there.
Thank you so much for having me. It is with a profound sense of awe and gratitude that I address you all today. Thank you does not adequately express the appreciation for each and every one of you, not only on 9/11, not only during fire season, but today and every day. Thank you for choosing to do this work. Thank you for showing up, ready to serve. You walk out of the doors of your homes, leaving loved ones and friends, and enter the perils of natural and unnatural disasters. You are not only there for the community that you directly serve, but when duty calls, you are ready to help in any way that you can. Whether it's around the corner, down the street, the neighboring county, or a country on the other side of the world. For those who went into danger, we give thanks. For those who remained behind with the infirmed and the injured, we give thanks. For those who thought of others first, we give thanks. For those who offered comfort to others, we give thanks. For moments of unknown and in times of fear, please grant us courage. As Hannah Senesh, a paratrooper who rescued Jews during the Holocaust, teaches us, there are stars whose light reaches the earth only after they themselves have disintegrated. And then there are individuals whose memory light the world after they have passed from it. These lights shine in the darkest night and illuminate us a path. Tonight, Jewish people around the world will light 2 Shabbat candles, marking the beginning of the 7th day of the week as a day of rest and holiness. Just as God ceased from the work on the 7th day of creation, so do we pause from our daily lives and rest and renew ourselves. On Shabbat this week, I encourage us to remember those who died on 9/11 in 2001. Please take a moment of silence to remember all of those that have passed. As you light Shabbat candles tonight to welcome in the Sabbath, this is a poem written by Rabbi Zoe Klein out of Los Angeles. On this Shabbat, we light 2 candles, one for remembering Shabbat and one for observing Shabbat. Tonight, we light 2 candles, this one for building 1, and this one for building 2. This one for the Pentagon, and this one for Pittsburgh. This one for hundreds of firefighters, and this one for hundreds of police. This one for all the men, and this one for all the women. This one for all the girls, and this one for all the boys. And these candles for the husband and wife who leapt out of the tower holding hands. And this one for our luck running out. And this one for the New York skyline. This one for the walking wounded. This one for the critically wounded. This one for the survivors. And this one for the dead. This candle for building 1, and this candle for building 2. Zikrona livraha, may their memory be for a blessing. Toda rabah, thank you all so very much.
Thank you for those words, Rabbi. We're going to close out our ceremony now. Once again, I want the Consulate, JNF, our friends from the Israeli Fire Service, all the police and firefighters that are sitting in the audience, my friends from the Jewish Community Center of Sonoma County that are with us virtually, everybody who took the time to be with us virtually. And as you go through the rest of your day today, just keep in mind what 9/11 really means. And that even in the darkest aspects of it, we think about the losses, think also of the friendships and the brotherhood and the people who continue to do a job to save people. Because if it wasn't for them, if we don't do it, who will? Thank you all very much and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.